yeah, it's time to do some Led Zeppelin. Welcome to Kevin's Covers. This is your go-to channel to find songs to busk on, arrangements for one guitar, one voice. Today we are doing Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll. I'm sure I don't have to tell you what a great song this is. I've been doing this acoustic arrangement of it for a while, and it goes over really well. So I do find it, I'm going to call this challenging. It's on the low end of challenging. It's not that bad, but I'm going to call it challenging primarily because of what I do in the instrumental and stuff like that. Anyway, let's take a look at the performance of it, then come right back and I'll show you how it's done.
Rock and roll. Been a long time since I did the stroll. Let me get back, let me get back, let me get back, back where I come from. Been a long time, been a long time, been a long, lonely, 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 lonely time. Book of love. Can't count the tears of a life with no love. Carry me back, carry me back, carry me back, baby, where I come from. Been a long time, been a long time, been a long, lonely, 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 lonely time. In the moonlight, making vows that just don't work right. Open your arms, open your arms, open your arms, and let my love come running in. Been a long time, been a long time, been a long, lonely, 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 lonely time.
Rock and Roll is a relatively straightforward blues in the key of A. Zepp did it in A. I'm doing it in A. Of course, I'm singing it an octave underneath what Robert Plant sang it. But let's take a look at that riff because it's really all about the riff, isn't it? That's it, right? So concretely, it is A, C sharp, E, D. We're going to pull that off, then hammer on the F sharp, and then hit the C and bend it over. And then coming back and forth between the E and the F sharp. That's it. Now when we play it though, we're going to keep on hitting that droning A in the bass. If you get that down, you can do pretty much the entire song, because the good news is when you go to D, you just move everything up a string. back. And when you go to E, guess what? You just move down a string. There you go. I'd point out that's what you do when you play this on electric as well. But now over the actual vocals, I simply play this. So I'm coming off this open strings, right? The fifth and fourth and a bit of the third sometimes, right? And hammering that A on, well, not even hammering it, I'm actually playing it. And then coming along with the rhythm, so, right. That's pretty much it. I often like to come up and grab that G and pull it off. So you end up with. Right? I'm going to do something very similar over the D7. I'm not going to hammer the entire chord on. I'm just going between the G and the A. Then for the E, I'm actually hitting this. I think that works really well. It's really just a kind of power chord on the E. And I'm alternating back and forth, right, between this, B and the C sharp over here. That's it. That's what you do on the verses themselves, right? Then we get to the more difficult bit, which is what do you do for the solo? Jimmy Page's solo on rock and roll is incredible. I actually play it. I do play rock and roll in a rock band on the guitar, and I've managed to get down his solo, or at least an approximation of it. And we're not going to do that on the acoustic. It's just, it's crazy. And furthermore, you would just lose all the rhythm. And you need something to keep it going. We don't have John Bonham behind us, right? So if you try to do anything that's too single-notey, then I think that the overall rhythm just kind of disappears. So what I do is I play around with these chord shapes that are just so incredibly useful when you're playing something in A, particularly around A7, kind of blues around A7. And we'll see these in other songs that I'll do. So what are we doing? I'm working off this open A7, and if you learn these three, actually relatively few shapes, you can do a lot when you're playing solo acoustic around A, blues and A. And this A7 over here, then we have this. I don't know what this is. It's kind of an A7. It doesn't have a third, but it's not really suspended because it doesn't replace it. Anyway, it works, right? So then we have up here, which is actually also kind of an A7 without a third. And we can bring that up, right? So this is just the A7 shape, but in the 5th fret. And we bring that up 2 more frets to the 7th fret, and that kind of works as well. And we come back to this kind of A minor 7 shape over here. That kind of works. Back to the A7 shape here, although I rarely hit that. And then up to that A7 on the octave. I know that didn't really sound great, but listen to this. Kind of works now, doesn't it? And if you put these things together, you can come up with a decent solo. So what I did in the performance over the A7s is simply this. I'll do it slowly, right? Do that a few times, and then after a while you can go up. Then on the D7, I actually typically simply play what I play over the verse. I actually find it works. You can play around with other things, right? So I'm kind of going. A little bit different rhythm. But then I'll come up. When people kind of figure, okay, you're sitting in there, then you do something flashy by doing a similar kind of move on the D. And here we're coming up to this formation, which is 3rd string, 9th fret, and 1st string, 8th fret, then coming down over here, so both the 3rd string and the 1st string in the 7th fret, which you can bring down to the 5th, down over here, coming back to this staggered shape in the 3rd and 4th frets, and then coming back to the D7. What does that give you? Gives like this. Back to the A7, right? And then back up to this E7 over here. You could play around and do something else over the E7, but that little power, the open string power chord is so powerful that I like to leave it there, right? And then come back to that D7 that you're hitting every time to close off the verses. And then effectively I do just a little bit of a more traditional kind of, one note leady thing, kind of going like this. And then back into the lead. There you go. That's pretty much all that you need to do to master my arrangement of rock and roll. It works really well. And in fact, a few years ago I played in a cover band and I would alternate between acoustic and electric guitar. There was another guitarist with a Les Paul. And I actually played the acoustic, what I just showed you acoustically, while he played his Les Paul over it. And for the instrumentals, I would do that, and then he would go and do Jimmy Page's solo and put that all together. It fits really well, and that works really well when you're playing solo as well. I hope that you guys know that by now that I'm just a big Led Zeppelin fan, and rock and roll was off of Zeppelin 4. You might not think that Zeppelin 4 is the best rock and roll album ever made, but let's face it, if you don't, you kind of have to explain why you don't think that Zepp 4 is the best rock and roll album ever made, like kind of saying why you don't think Stairway to Heaven is the best rock song or whatever. It is a standard in many respects, and that particular song is just, it works so well solo acoustic. So hopefully you guys can use it, and hopefully that was useful for you. And if so, please do like the video. Make sure that you subscribe to see more. I try to come out with one a week. Make sure you hit the notification button so you'll know when a new video has come out. And leave some comments if you like, your stories about this song or about others. And in the meantime, rock on.